So, Canada, as we've been reporting, now does officially recognize the state of Palestine. Prime Minister Mark Carney's office released their official statement yesterday morning. Now, the governments of Australia and the United Kingdom did the same yesterday. Here in Winnipeg, yesterday also happened to be the Run for Palestine in the city. About, as I mentioned, 450 people showing up in support of Palestinians. One of the runners was Harold Fagerstrom. He had this to say about the news.
I mean, who knows? Right now, it could be just largely symbolic. It's good because, I mean, the world isn't doing too much. The genocide's happening. We're here supporting, running, listening to music, and people are dying as we're doing it. So I don't know what it's going to mean, but it's a first step. There's many steps that need to be taken, but recognition is one for sure. And people need to know they are their own people, they're their own state, and they deserve the same rights we all enjoy.
In the first hour of our show this morning, we heard from Richard Robinson as well about this. He is Director of Research and Advocacy for B'nai B'rith Canada.
A two-state solution is the only solution to bring about lasting peace in the Middle East. However, it must be done at a time when both the Palestinian people and the Israeli state are capable of coming to the table, and that requires a democratic Palestinian state that is capable of negotiating with the Israeli state. And right now, that is not what we have.
Rex Brynen is with us for an interview next on CBC. He's a professor of political science at McGill University. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, what specifically does this move by Canada and other countries mean? As you heard one of the people locally here suggesting at this point it's largely symbolic, but is it? Tell us a bit more about your analysis.
Well, Canada is joining more than 150 countries around the world that recognize the state of Palestine. And they're doing it for, I think, a couple of reasons. Obviously, one reason is the war in Gaza, but I don't think that's even the primary reason. Rather, the current Israeli government, which is a very hardline extremist government under Benjamin Netanyahu, is explicitly committed to preventing there ever being a Palestinian state, Palestinians ever join rights of political self-determination. He's committed to gradual annexation, essentially occupying the Palestinians in perpetuity in a kind of apartheid type situation. And I think a lot of countries around the world are very concerned about the possibility of this Israeli government precluding there ever being peace. And therefore want to stand up for the principle that there needs to eventually be a Palestinian state, which would live alongside Israel in peace and security. So I think it's precisely because of the erosion of the prospects of a two-state solution, talk in Israel about annexation, more illegal settlement activity in the West Bank, increased settler violence, violence from the Israeli army. Those are as much what Canada is responding to, and the Prime Minister made that clear in his statement, as the horrific war in Gaza.
The U.S. isn't at the table of those countries that are recognizing Palestinian statehood. Why does that matter? What are the implications of it?
Well, the U.S. is the most influential country in the world, and it's certainly the country that has the most influence with Israel. But what we have seen under the Trump administration is it essentially has abandoned many years of commitment to a two-state solution and is largely greenlighting whatever the government of Israel wants to do. And we should remember that President Trump's own plan, which he publicly articulated, is that the Palestinian population should be forced out of Gaza so it can be made available for real estate development. We're literally at the point, and I don't think this comes as a surprise to Canadians who've grown to know Donald Trump only too well, that Donald Trump's position is ethnic cleansing. I mean, he's very, very clear about that. That's the official government position in the U.S., and it's being adopted by the Israeli government too. So unfortunately, we're not going to have the U.S. on side on this one, which I think is all the more reason. I think it's a major reason why the French pushed us, the British, the Australians, and others to join the rest of the world in this recognition. And before that, we saw the Irish, Spanish, the Norwegians advocating for it too. This is a really critical point where it's important that we express support for a two-state solution, even if that declaration doesn't immediately change anything on the ground.
People might be balking as they heard you say, describe the positions as ethnic cleansing. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you've worded it in that way? And also in the backdrop of, we heard from B'nai B'rith Canada saying they have concerns about, while there isn't a democratically elected government in Gaza, Canada going in this direction.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any serious doubt that what President Trump called for is ethnic cleansing. He's calling for Palestinians to be pushed out of Gaza. I mean, there's a war there, there's starvation there. He's talked about the desirability of removing Palestinians. Indeed, the U.S. government has looked at trying to relocate them to places like South Sudan. I mean, that's textbook ethnic cleansing. You just won't find a serious political scientist anywhere who would characterize it otherwise. And that's really an aberration. We wouldn't have found any other U.S. government doing that, but this is also a U.S. government that seems to be okay with Russian occupation of parts of Ukraine.
And can you speak
as well?
I don't want to run out of time. Can you also speak then to B'nai B'rith's concerns?
Well, the Democratic one doesn't make a lot of sense because one of the primary obstacles to the future Palestinian elections is that the Israeli government won't allow them. We absolutely need negotiations on two-state solution. It would be helpful if he would point out that the Israeli government opposes a two-state solution, whereas the Palestine Authority is in favor of it. I mean, the Palestine Authority in Ramallah, President Abbas, explicitly favors a peace agreement with Israel. That has been the position of the Palestine Authority consistently. Indeed, they're the only ones. Hamas doesn't favor it. The Netanyahu government doesn't favor it. It's the Palestine Authority. So what we really should be doing is perhaps increasing our support for the one actor who repeatedly publicly articulates its desire for a negotiated two-state solution. The problem is not on the Palestine Authority side. The problem is on the Netanyahu government side and on the Hamas side, both of whom really oppose the establishment of a two-state solution.
Rex, always appreciate your analysis. Thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
Rex Brynen with us, professor of political science at McGill University. If you want to read some local reaction to this over the weekend from Manitoba, we played a little bit there, but you can always go to our website as well at cbc.ca/Manitoba.